So, in northern Nigeria, you've got millions of farmers who are, for all intents and purposes, completely off the grid. Their entire livelihood is balanced on this razor's edge, especially with a climate that's getting more unpredictable every year. Today, we're going to dive into a project called AgriFIMS. It's this incredible effort to build a digital lifeline for these farmers, connecting them to the kind of data that could literally change everything. To really get this, you have to picture what it's like in states like Sokoto and Katsina. This is a landscape that can flip from being a semi-arid dust bowl to just unbelievably lush farmland, all depending on when the rains come. Now, for the smallholder farmers living there, that's not just a weather report. That's the knife's edge between feeding their family for a year or facing a season of just crushing debt. It's incredibly high stakes. And look, the problem for these farmers has never been a lack of skill or a lack of hard work. They know their land like the back of their hand. The real challenge has always been a lack of information, a total vacuum. They've been completely disconnected from the data that drives pretty much all modern agriculture and markets. And that is the exact gap that AgriFIMS is designed to fill. You can think of it as this really ambitious plan to take the deep, generational intuition of traditional farming and just supercharge it with the power of actual, actionable data. Now, don't mistake this for some small little pilot program. We are talking about connecting over 50,000 farmers. 50,000! Bringing them all onto a single, unified digital platform, many of them for the very first time in their lives. The scale here is just massive. So, what exactly is AgriFIMS? Well, the full name is a bit of a mouthful, but the concept behind it is so powerful. Think of it like an ERP, an enterprise resource planning system. Big corporations use these to manage absolutely everything, from their supply chains to their finances. AgriFIMS is applying that exact same logic, organizing chaos into intelligence, but for a huge network of small, remote farms. Of course, something this big doesn't happen in a vacuum. The whole project is being backed by the World Food Program as the main sponsor, and the actual tech, the app itself, was developed by the incredible team at Green Habitat Initiative. And crucially, it also has the full support of the local governments in both Sokoto and Katsina. And this is so vital because for a project like this to last beyond the initial push, it has to be embraced and really integrated by the regional leadership. That's the key to sustainability. All right, so how does it actually work? How do you really take farming from being based on intuition to being based on intelligence? Well, the whole system is built around 4 key features, and each one is designed to answer a really fundamental question every single farmer has. It all starts with identity. You and we take our digital footprint completely for granted. But for a farmer in rural Sokoto, they might be completely invisible to the formal system. They exist, they work, they produce food, but officially on paper, they have almost no data trail. So the first question is a big one. Who am I? This slide really shows the incredible transformation. What AgriFIMS does is it creates a secure, validated digital twin for each farmer. You see, without that verified identity, you're unbankable. You can't get a loan for seeds, you can't get insurance for your crops. This profile is the key that unlocks that whole financial world, turning what was informal labor into a formal, recognized economic entity. Okay, so now we know who the farmer is. That's step 1. But the next critical question is, what is their single most important asset? Well, of course, it's their land. The system uses geospatial mapping, but, and this is important, we're not just talking about dropping a pin on a map. A GPS pin is basically useless for predicting how much you can grow. Instead, field agents physically walk the perimeter of every single farm with a tablet, tracing its exact borders. This creates what's called a polygon, and that polygon gives them the precise land area in hectares, which is absolutely critical for estimating yield, for securing investment, and even for preventing fraud. So you've got your identity, your land is mapped out, but you are still, fundamentally, at the mercy of the sky. And in a place where weather patterns are becoming more and more chaotic, one single bad decision about when to plant your seeds or when to apply fertilizer can wipe out your entire season's income. Just like that. So to solve this, the system has a precision weather module. It doesn't give you some vague forecast like rain in northern Nigeria. No. It delivers a hyper-local 7-day forecast with specific rainfall probabilities for your exact farm. Just imagine, you spent all your savings on fertilizer. If you put it down and a massive downpour comes, your entire investment is just washed away. This data turns a gamble based on hope into a smart management decision based on real intelligence. It's all about preserving capital. Okay, so let's say you've done everything right. You had a successful harvest, your profile is verified, your land is mapped, the weather data saved your fertilizer. Awesome. Now, you face the final boss, the market. And this is where smallholder farmers have traditionally just been crushed by what's called information asymmetry. Here's how it usually works. A local trader shows up in a remote village. He knows the real-time prices in the big regional markets like Dawanawa, but the farmer has no clue. AgriFIMS completely shatters this cycle. It pushes real-time price updates for key crops right to the farmers. So now, when a trader offers, say, 15,000 naira for a bag of maize, the farmer knows, wait a minute, that's trading for 25,000 in the city. That's what it comes down to. Information is leverage. A single farmer can now negotiate from a position of strength. But imagine when 50,000 farmers suddenly have this same leverage. The entire market dynamic has to shift, right? It goes from being predatory to being genuinely competitive. Okay, but this brings up a huge practical question. How on earth do you deploy a sophisticated, cloud-based, data-heavy system in these really rural areas where you might be lucky to even get a single bar of cell service? The answer is just this incredibly elegant solution called offline-first architecture. The app is built to work perfectly with zero connectivity. A field agent can be out in a complete dead zone, inputting farmer data, mapping a farm, taking photos, and all of it gets stored safely and securely right on their device. Then, maybe hours later, when the agent drives back to town and their tablet hits a little pocket of 3G, the app just automatically and seamlessly syncs everything to the cloud. Honestly, it's the only way a system like this could possibly work out there. And this also proves a really important point. Technology is only half the battle. You can't just drop a bunch of tablets from a helicopter and expect it to work. The on-the-ground implementer, Life Helpers Initiative, they have the hardest job of all, building trust. They're the ones running the workshops, speaking the local dialects, and making sure to engage with everyone, especially women's cooperatives and the youth. They are the absolutely essential human bridge between the software code and the community. So let's zoom out for a second. If this whole thing works, if this digital grid is successfully built out across the region, what does the next harvest or maybe the next 5 years actually look like? Well, the really big shift is moving from just observing what's happening to actually predicting it. Right now, the system is great at observing, but the next step is to use all that aggregated data to see the future. The system could one day tell the government, hey, based on our real-time data, we are projecting a 20% shortfall in the maize harvest this October. This allows them to move from just reacting to a food crisis to proactively managing their entire agricultural supply chain. It's a game changer. And I want to leave you with this final thought to chew on. When 50,000 farmers who used to be completely isolated are suddenly all armed with the exact same market data, does that just make the market more efficient? Or could it actually make it more volatile? Think about it. If every single partner knows the price of maize is high, they might all rush to sell at the exact same time, which could potentially crash the price for everyone. These farmers are no longer just growing food. They are now entering the global game of trading commodities, with all the incredible rewards and all the new risks that come along with it.